All right, I don't know how to share this either, but let's see. Maybe what's this do? Here we go. Okay. You know what? I am rolling with the punches today, and I am just going to make this happen. I'm going to make it happen despite craziness everywhere, unless I pop back over to Facebook and it tells me that I am live. I don't see a live presentation on Facebook. So, okay, we're live on YouTube. This is what's happening, y'all. I'm just trying it all out here. This is one heck of a day, let me tell you. Okay. Sorry for everyone who may be tuning in on YouTube right now and just watching me flounder around. I am having a good time with technology today. I am hardwired in, so internet in theory should not be a problem. However, we seem to be struggling quite a bit with everything right now. And there's a lot of people trying to use YouTube, and there's a lot of people trying to, I'm sorry, not trying to use YouTube. Oh, goodness. Give me a second here while I post this. Okay, here we go. This is what we're doing, y'all. Okay. I cannot get the live to go live on my anywhere. So I'm canceling it on my phone, and I am over here on YouTube. I shared that around a couple places. I don't really know how. Okay, Nancy's here. Yay. Woo. We have 3 people here. This is the first time that I've gone live, like legit on YouTube. So this is new to me. All right. This is what's happening in our world today. Apparently, everyone in the world is on Facebook right now. I have not been able to get anything to work right for me today, but this is apparently working, and the video looks clear, and I can see comments. So this is working. We're going to do this. All right. Welcome to day 4 of the Author Bootcamp. Like nothing else I have ever tried to do. This week anyway. While we're waiting for a moment for everybody to figure out where we are. It's like a scavenger hunt, isn't it? It's just, we're just gonna have fun with this. We are having our own Author Bootcamp scavenger hunt, brought to you by soon to lose her mind Alexa Big Wharf. Let me just tell you about what's happening here. Supposed to be a super easy challenge with super easy, great information for you about writing, publishing, and selling your book. But what's happening right now is that as the entire world overloads the internet, I am learning to see how quickly I can think on my feet and adjust with the punches. So earlier, we were doing a webinar on Webinar Ninja, and it would never let me in. So we thought, okay, we're going to be quick. We're going to roll, and we're going to do this live on Facebook. So then I come back to do this live on Facebook, and Facebook won't let me go live. So it's just been one heck of a journey, one heck of a day. And I'm sitting, you start to wonder to yourself, is the universe trying to send me a message? Or is this just happening to everyone, and we are truly in a period of Darwinism? Only those of us who refuse to stop persisting, who refuse to stop finding new ways to get around this, are going to survive. So if I'm in some kind of weird rat race, I'm in it to win it. But anyway, okay. So we're sharing the link in different places. I'm letting people know that we're over here now. And welcome to my YouTube channel, where I'm apparently going to be using it for live streaming because nothing else is working. Thank you, YouTube, for having the bandwidth to accommodate all of this stuff. All right, so let's talk about launches. Let's talk about the boot camp and how we get forward with our writing and publishing journey. So, day 4, we have made it through day 4. If you're still with me, some of you are going to get here a little bit later, and you can just watch the insanity as it unrolls. But we have been talking about this week the 5 main pillars, 5 main focus areas that I want new authors and authors maybe who have even published once or twice before but are still in the process of learning. We're giving you the tools to figure that out. So day 1, we covered the publishing timeline. We talked about big picture things that you need to know. Day 2, we talked about finding your audience and how to find your audience and how to get in front of the right group of people. And I tell you what, if you are sticking with me through all of this stuff, you are my people, because this has been a fun ride so far. Day 3, we talked about metadata. So hey, good to see you. We talked about how important it is to know what metadata is and how you use it appropriately and how you make sure that you are positioning yourself properly with your metadata to make sure that your book can be found by the internet bots and search bots and all of that stuff. And then today is day 5, and we are talking about launching the book. And, marketing is an incredible journey that really needs to start very early for you in your journey. So the thing with it is, as a brand new author, the building of the audience is probably the hardest thing that you're going to come across in everything that you do. You can find tons of resources that will tell you about metadata and where to get your ISBN. And you can find tons of tutorials and information about how to load your book to Amazon and how to load your book to Ingram Spark and where you should be. Should you be focusing wide distribution, or should you be going KDP Select? All these different questions. You can find lots of cover designers, lots of people who will format your book for you and do all of those things for you. But marketing is one of those things that even if you pay somebody else to do it for you, unless you know for sure that they're an expert in your genre, and this really does vary across genres, like there are people that are better at marketing some genres than the other, but really it's a numbers game. So no matter what happens, it's a matter of getting your book in front of enough people. And I like to talk about the differences that we have seen in terms of authors and their platform and how this relates to launching. So, if you are an author that has 100 or less email subscribers and 10,000 or fewer followers on one of, we'll say Facebook, because the numbers are a little bit different on Instagram and other platforms. But if you have 5 to 10,000 fans on Facebook and less than 100 email followers, email subscribers, the odds are that on launch day and on launch month, you can expect to sell between, and this is assuming you're not doing any paid marketing or other type of things right here. This is just like looking at those numbers. You can assume that on launch day, you're going to sell between 100 and maybe 500 copies of your book in launch day, launch month, because it is truly a numbers game. If you have 500 people, you can expect that about 10% of those might actually purchase. And this is if it's 500 of the right people in your audience, right? So 1 to 10% sales. So the reason it's important to know this is to think very strategically about what you have to do in preparing for your launch to make sure that you get the enough people so that you have enough people to buy your books. So we did a launch with a woman who had an email list of 18,000 and an active Facebook group of 45,000. That's a lot of people. So she actually started growing her Facebook group years before, because she did this annual challenge, an annual gratitude challenge each year. And she would run Facebook ads and do blog posts and all this kind of stuff. And she would invite people into her group. She was building the right kind of audience. She knew she wanted to write a book one day. She wasn't quite sure when that day would be or what specifically the book would be about. but she knew that it was the type of people that would want to be practicing gratitude anyway. Women, gratitude, this type of thing. So she started building this Facebook group. And by the time she finished her book and went to launch it, she had over 40,000 people in her Facebook group and about 18,000 people on her email list. That resulted in about 1,000 sales on launch day. So if you think about that, that's why numbers, and I can tell you that launch after launch after launch, these numbers stay fairly consistent, about 1 to 10% on the high side of your audience will actually buy your book. Again, every time I say anything about anything, there are exceptions to every rule. So, you could have an audience of 100 and sell 100 books. You can have an audience of 100 and sell 500 books. If every single one of your fans just loves you and wants to purchase these products, or multiples of them, you can do really well. But generally speaking, it's a numbers game. So the whole purpose of a launch strategy is to help you put the things in place to help you grow those numbers as big as you possibly can of the right kind of people that are not only going to be excited about your book, but are going to want to talk about so excited about your book that they want to talk about your book and share your book with other people that they think will be excited about your book as well. Okay. So, you want to start in enough time that you are able to really grow high numbers or a solid base of the right people. There was an article written a few years ago called 1,000 True Fans, and marketers reference this article all the time because the guy's premise behind this article was that 1,000 of the truest fans, of the people that love you, will get you farther in your business or in your book selling, as it may be, that's our business, than millions of the wrong kind of followers. So if you think, you've been growing a Facebook page platform for a couple of years and you might have 10, 15, 20,000 followers, even more, like, are they all the right followers? Are they all the type of people that are interested in your book and want to buy books? Or are they people that saw a funny meme and then accepted a like to like your page? Or if you've been around for a while, did they enter some type of giveaway and just like your page because that was part of the requirements of the giveaway? Or, something along those lines. So just because you have 20 to 50,000 followers does not mean you're going to have a successful book launch. You have to make sure that you have the correct followers and that you're doing the things in your launch strategy to make sure that your book is getting talked about, that people are sharing about your book, and that people are recommending it to other people. And those are the three magic things, because you might have 1,000 people or 500 people that are out there telling all their friends, oh my gosh, this is amazing, that are posting covers of it on your Instagram, on their Instagram feed, that are sharing with teachers about this amazing children's book, that are doing all of these types of different things. So a successful launch comes down to three things: numbers, lots of people, the more people, the better, but they need to be the right people. Two, value and things that make people want to share that book with their other friends and people. And then just the word of mouth buzz all over the place. Some of the things we talk about, how book marketing is a little bit different than traditional marketing, but one of the things that is the same is that people need to see something multiple times before they buy, generally speaking. This is also why 99-cent campaigns work really well, because there are pricing thresholds where people will press buy without even thinking about it. This is fairly true across the board. If you have something that's $19.99, people are going to need to be convinced really hard about that. If it's $2,000, you have to be convinced even more. If it's $10,000, they have to be the right people, the right, all these things. But if it's 99 cents, a book that's 99 cents, people generally, if it looks interesting, if the cover's intriguing, if the description is good, many people will pop that in their cart without even thinking about it. So Depending on your genre, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, depending on your timeline and how much time you give yourself for launch, you can come up with a strategy that's going to work for each of those things. If you have a very short time frame, then you're probably, if you're going to have to put a lot of time and effort and probably more marketing dollars into a very short funneled campaign. If you have a lot of time, you can spend less money and you can spend less time over the scope of things, because you can do small, consistent actions, over the course of a year or 3 months or 6 months or however long, to build that audience, to build that buzz, to get influencers out there sharing about your book and talking about your book and all of those things. Okay, so that's kind of the overview, but you can't set a lot. You should definitely have some sort of a plan that you're working for. It needs to have goals and objectives so that you know what you're trying to do, so that you're not just like throwing, I love the expression, throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing if it'll stick, because that feels like what so many people do so much of the time. Like, you're just like, okay, well, that Facebook ad didn't work, so let me do something else real quick. Or this didn't work, so let me do something else. Or man, this isn't working. So, and a lot of times with these marketing efforts, they take time. They take repeated adjustment. They take over, what am I trying to say here? They take small adjustments. Like, maybe your picture in your ad is really awesome, but there's something about the copy that it just isn't right. Or maybe you have amazing copy, but no one's even looking at it because the picture is terrible. So no one's stopping to look at that picture and then to see what it's about. Maybe, there's so many things that go into it. So in the workbook that we sent out to, we include basically a couple pages of ideas just to get you started on how you can think about launching your book. Now, here's what I want to tell you. This is what I have learned in the past few years. And feel free to ask questions if you want to. We have a small crowd today, since we had to move from Facebook, and YouTube doesn't notify everybody like Facebook does. But we I forget. I just totally lost my train of thought. I'm so distracted by everything happening today. Here we go. Posted. Now I can stop thinking about that. All right. So when you think about your launch, if there's a reason, the thing that I have learned is what I was trying to say is that there is a really legit reason to why traditional publishing houses take the amount of time that they do to launch and publish their books. A big part of that reason is from the fact that they know that they've got to create buzz. Buzz is the best thing. Word of mouth buzz is the best thing that can ever happen for a book. If you can create that on a low budget, even better. If it's taking you a bigger budget to get there, sometimes it does. If you're in a really flooded market, it takes a little bit more to break through and to have that out there. So you want to be looking at the ways that you can create buzz prior to your launch. Why is this important? So many book launch coaches out there that work with self-published authors make this huge mistake. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that it's a huge mistake, because I've tried a lot of different things and now I see why this is not a great plan for many books. If you wait to try and create the buzz until after your book is launched, you've already lost a huge opportunity for momentum to be built for you. Okay? What I mean by that is there are all kinds of wonderful opportunities for you to get your book reviewed, to get it reviewed, editorial reviews in magazines and journals, websites, hi, Ann, in newspapers, all these places, the editorial reviews, all of that kind of stuff. Those are a phenomenal way for you to get out there in front of people. But guess what? They don't want to be writing about old news. So if your book is already published, most of them won't even consider it for a review on the big name places. They want to be writing about things that people don't have yet. Same with like subscription boxes and things like that. There's been a huge explosion of subscription boxes, both for fiction and nonfiction. You can find different opportunities for each of those out there. But they again want to purchase books for these subscription boxes that they feel confident that half of their subscribers don't already have. Because what a way to lose your subscribers if you're sending them books that they've already read, they already own, then what's the value? So many of the places, again, they want books that are either have not been published yet or within like the first few weeks of publication, so that they feel pretty well assured that people haven't read it yet. So, there's a lot of, it also just takes that time to build up the subscriber basis, to build up the audience, to build up the followers, to build up all of those things. So you want to make sure that you're taking the time to do things incrementally and to grow that audience. We've been growing this audience for years, and it's slow, small things. Each year we add on a new big segment with the Women in Publishing Summit, but it's been a slow growth. But each year, more people start talking about us, more people start talking about the event, more people share about it. And the more buzz created by all these other people that bring in their audiences, the more we grow and the more we start getting more organic traffic, if you will. And organic traffic is always better than having to pay for your traffic. Okay. So some of the things that I talk about in the launch plan, we talk about having a pre-release landing page so that you can start very early on growing your email list. I like to encourage people to give their book away for free through their landing page. Not everybody is comfortable with that, and there are different philosophies on whether you give a sample chapter, the whole book, or whatever. So we're not going to debate whether or not you should give a sample couple chapters or the entire book. But I do know that we've had a lot of success with giving away as copies of the book, both in PDF form and in print version to influencers and to people to help them spread the word about our book launches. But you can create this page where you get people onto the email list, you give them a sample, and you start growing your email list with that. And let me tell you, like, email is hard because people don't want to give you their email address. Trust me, I learn this every year with the summit, and we wind up getting a bunch of garbage email addresses because people they'll give you, either they don't want to register their email or they give you a dummy email address. And then you have to determine, like, you have to be savvy enough to know how to weed out cold email addresses and all that kind of stuff, which is a whole different discussion. But yes, hands down though, the people that give us true email addresses are the people that are interested in our content, the people who are interested in what we have to give. They open them, they read them, they send us replies, they show up to our webinars, they do all of these things. And when we launch things, they participate. So an email list is super important. And if you're getting it through, if you have a lead magnet, if you're not ready with your book yet, so if you're setting up your landing page to collect email addresses, you can do two things. You can either have a coming soon, get on my email list, get on my book launch email list or whatever, so that as soon as I have the book ready, I will send it to you, or I'll let you know when it's available, or however you want to do that. Or you can have a lead magnet that is relevant. Do not just come up with some kind of random lead magnet. If you're trying to sell a fiction book, you don't want to be giving away recipes. It needs to be, even though you might think this is a great lead magnet, everybody wants, 17 different ways to make spaghetti amazing, but not if you're writing a book about vampires. They don't go together. So you want to make sure that the things that you're doing to attract people to your email list are going to be the building the email list that's appropriate for your book. Yes, I love quiz marketing. Actually, I've interviewed several people about quizzes, and I I haven't added a quiz to our website yet. That's been one of those things that's been under development and in the works for a really long time. But quizzes are a phenomenal way to bring people in. The thing with quizzes is that it has to be, again, relevant to what you're trying to do. We did work with a woman who was we helped her initially launch her book for brides, and she used great quizzes for this, because her book was this beautifully designed book that helped brides make all the decisions and think about all the things that they needed to get ready to plan their wedding. So she had several quizzes that helped her kind of identify what type of bride she was working with. And those quizzes then gave them some interesting information, gave them some value, and then she had an email sequence that went with that. So it sent out a couple emails, and then it pitched her book to them and said, by the way, here's the handbook for you. This is going to be awesome. And it's great because her book was generic enough that she could use it for all types of brides, because it answered all of that. But in order to really engage with them and to bring her into the place where she could build that know, like, and trust with them, she needed to know whether she was speaking with somebody who was on a small budget or a large budget, or who really liked this or who really liked that. Then she could provide, because she was so knowledgeable on this topic, she could provide very specific information to the common areas and types of brides that she saw. And then at the end say, okay, I provided you these resources. You can get everything else right here in this book. Here's where you can download it, all that kind of stuff. So blogs and podcasts, even if you don't want to start your own or be on your own, blogs and podcasts are an excellent place for you to start doing pre-marketing. Here's the thing. You need two things. You need to have a way to capture the audience once you've been there, and you need to figure out how to pitch them so that they understand the value that you're going to come to bring to your audience. Because people don't want to just interview you because you've written a book, unless they are specifically about books. There are podcasts and some book websites that are just about books, and those places are going to be interested in talking to you about your book. We have a guest on the show today. That's my youngest. Hey, hi, sweetheart. I'm doing a recording right now. Okay, see you in a minute. The new age, the new world we're living in right now. Okay, so yes, quizzes and things like that are fun. Got sidetracked there. I have no idea what I was just saying. Anyway, the point is you're bringing people into your world, showing them your knowledge base, sharing your information. Podcasts, that's where I was going, podcasts and blogs. You're getting in front of their warm audience because they are selecting you. You have to pitch to be on a podcast. You have to pitch to be on a website, on a blog, and you are going to they're going to select you and approve you or deny you. So you already go through this process where they have decided you're a good fit for their audience or not. But everybody wants you to bring value, to bring content that they can share with their audience. And then your book is likely to come up in the conversation or as a resource. Can you ask your daddy, please? Okay, perfect. These places are a great place for you to go, because if you're already in front of a warm audience and they're interested in the topic that you're talking about, it's a very likely scenario that they will follow you. If they listen to you, read your post, that they will follow you, that they will learn more about you, that they will do something else along those lines, and will be a warmer audience for you at the end. Okay, what else do I have in my launch sheet? A launch team. Okay. Oh, blog. I skipped over. I am a big fan of blogging, primarily because I've used my blog both times to really grow my audience, the right audience, by writing about topics that are of interest to them. And then a launch team. Your launch team are basically your cheerleaders who are going to go out and help you really create that massive audience. And I see I need to update this document. Thunderclap, I'm not even sure if it's still out there and using it. We stopped using it simply because we couldn't track the results. It was very effective for some things. Thunderclap is a place where you can send out a message and you can create a lot of buzz on one particular day and time. So you collect followers, and then it's going to boom, release they have to allow you to use their platform to share your message. So you can send out tweets or messages or whatever all at once. And we stopped using it a couple years ago. I need to look back into it, because if they've improved it, then that might be a great tool you want to go to. Obviously, growing your email list. Depending on your audience, your genre, all these kinds of things, you can join freebie groups, sites, and forums where you can share things like this. Hosting virtual and physical launch parties. We find that our authors who have a physical live party sell on average 4 times as more books than people who don't. And sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes it's significantly more than that. I know right now we're not really having live launch parties. It's just really not an option for most people in person, but there's still a whole lot of ways that you can do this, or you can do a virtual party launch now and a live launch party later when everyone can get together, and how much fun we'll have when we can all actually be together again. Okay, so the bigger point, I mean, we could spend a lot of time going through different ideas on how you could launch, where you should go. I've talked to people who were on hundreds of podcasts before the launch of their books. Like, it really, there's a lot of different ways to approach it. There's a lot of different activities you can do, but what you need to do is have a realistic expectation based on your audience, based on what the types of things your audience enjoy. What are things that they're going to respond to? And as my business coach encourages me to do, she says, test the waters, send things out, do a little, try this and try that, and try it until you find out what really works. And then when you find something that's working, then you really maneuver up to them. Yeah, I think she said she was on 167 podcasts before her book launched. So Julia asked about that. Yeah, lots and lots of podcasts. And you really want to, depending on, again, every book has a different purpose and every author has a different goal. And that's why marketing gets really hairy, because blanket marketing, there are some blanket marketing things that work for everybody. There are certain things that we do across the board for all of our authors every time, tweaked a little bit based on genre, but they work, so we do them every time. There are other things that we do not do for every author, and we do not do for every occasion, because it's more specific to a lot of factors. So that's why I start out with talking really about the audience and how important knowing that audience is, and what they're interested in, and what their likes are, and what they're doing, and all those types of things. It makes a big difference in how you determine how you're going to move forward. So, okay. The basic takeaway from all of this is that you need to have a plan. You need to play a long game with it. Like, you're not going to be able to accomplish most of this in a very short time frame unless you have a specific goal with launch, and that launch is based on a short time frame. So, but for the most of us, we need to spend the time putting in the effort to building up to the launch. And then, of course, you've got all the just tons and tons of different ways that you can market your book, and ways that you can get out there. Some very inexpensive, some very time consuming, some very time consuming and expensive, or the other way around. And, you just, the best thing to do is to figure out what you're trying to achieve, kind of reverse engineer it, and figure out, okay, I know that I want to sell 1,000 books in my first month. And in order to do that, I need to have X number of people on my list, or in my group, or talking about my book, or reviewing my book, and all of those things. And then kind of figuring out what steps to get there, and what's going to be of interest. And the fun thing about quiz marketing and things like that, those are things that you can try throughout the year. I wouldn't try to do something like that under pressure. Like, if your launch is next week, I wouldn't try to grow your email list by 150 people, or 100, 200, 300 people, or whatever, by trying to set up a quiz and figure out if your quiz works in a week. excuse me, what I have found is that with those types of things, you want to have strategy and you want to do it right and you want to make sure it looks good and you want to make sure the thing funnels down. So, make sure that you're doing um, the right things in the right timeline and doing them to look good, not just doing them to do them, if that makes sense. All right. Well, this has been a really fun adventure in technology today. Thank you for those of you who managed to find us back over here. I joked at the beginning while we were waiting for people to come in that this is not only Author Bootcamp, it is Author Scavenger Bootcamp, like scavenger hunt to find to find the training. Where will it be today? But yeah, if marketing is something that you struggle with, marketing and launches I enjoy the most. There's so many ways to get creative. There's so many tools out there to use. There's so many things that you can do with it. There's just, it's the most fun. It really is. And it can be super frustrating if you don't know how to use the tools. If you're not familiar with some different things, you can spend a lot of money making mistakes. Good grief. When I was first learning how to use Amazon ads as an example, I made an itty bitty tiny little mistake in the way that I sent up my Amazon ads, and it cost me $178 in ad spend for the sale of one $4.99 book. So sometimes it really does pay to have somebody who is experienced with and knowing what they're doing set up your accounts and get you started and get you on the right way. You can easily waste so much money trying things that you don't really know how to do. So, this is again, I know I've been harping on about WIP school, but of course we're in our launch window for that. So all roads lead to WIP school right now. And launch is something that we start talking about at the very beginning of the process. And we talk about every month all the way through marketing rather, not necessarily just the book launch, because it's so important that you put these things in place and that you start building them and start taking the right actions, have the time to tweak and adjust and move forward on those types of things. So using Facebook ads, using other ad strategies, the whole nine is part of what we're talking about. So, all right. I am pretty exhausted from running this scavenger hunt. As much fun as it has been, I am ready to go take a nap. So, okay, come back tomorrow. We will let you know where it's going to be. I'm kind of enjoying this YouTube thing, although I will say it doesn't get near the engagement that Facebook does, because if you're not subscribed to me on YouTube, you wouldn't get a notification that I'm live. But I think it works well. So we might go ahead and do this again tomorrow, but we will let you all know where we're going to be and how to find us. Tomorrow is the final day. We're going to wrap it all up with talking about kind of the team, how to build a team, who you should be using to do all of these things. And what we can, how you can find the right people to help you through these processes. And everybody enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you so much for continuing to show up and for talking to me, because this is no fun when I'm just yammering away by myself. So I appreciate it. Have a great day. Yes, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. And yes, we will make sure that everyone knows to subscribe to us here so that they get notified when we are live. Thanks, y'all. Have a great day. And we do post tutorials and webinars and things like that on the YouTube channel as well. So it's not a bad subscription to have when it comes to some of these things. We're going to be using YouTube more in the upcoming year. It's part of my growth strategy. And now that I see how much easier it is to utilize as a live stream and how much clearer it is, and yeah, this worked out well. So thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.